So just to kind of let you guys know, this is a 8-week course. This is what we call as a flex course. So it's a combination of, our 1 hour weekly meetings that we do on Wednesdays from 11:15 to 12:15. And then the rest of it is the online component, right? So most of the work you guys are doing is going to be online on your own time. Just as long as you meet those deadlines, it doesn't matter at what pace you work, just, kind of keep track of those deadlines. So just to keep in mind, this is an 8-week course. We're going from January to March. Technically, the course ends March 22nd, but our final exam is actually going to be before we go on spring break. So we literally come back from spring break and we have 2 days of class, which is mostly for me to finish grading anything that I need to and post your grades and that kind of thing. So your final exam and the wrapping up of the class will actually happen before spring break. So just to kind of let you know that timeline. So the Wednesday before spring break is actually when we'll be taking our in-class version of the final exam, and then you have a take-home version of the final exam that, again, you guys work on your own time, as you want to. So just keep that in mind. If you were thinking that this is a regular 16-week course, then this class is not. We don't do regular lectures in here. I will have assignments and activities for you guys to work on, for that 1 hour that we meet once a week. And definitely, if you have any questions you want to answer, we can do that towards the end of the class. Or if you want to meet one-to-one, we can schedule a Zoom meeting for us to meet one-to-one. I have office hours. If you're available during that time, you want to come and talk to me, you definitely can. But if you are thinking that you may be more successful in a 16-week course, because it does give you that a little bit of a spread out pace, then this week is a good week to switch classes also. So just kind of keep that in mind. You do have a drop deadline and an add deadline. So if that is something you want to think about, and you can look through the class, you can see if this is something you can keep up your pace with, depending on how many other classes you are taking, what your work and personal life looks like, because it can get challenging, especially the first 4 weeks of this class are going to be pretty heavy on assignments, because the chapters are actually on the smaller, scanty side. So the homework you will be doing through my stat lab, the homework, quizzes, exams, the first couple chapters, like I said, are not very heavy, because this is where we bring in the concepts of statistics. We kind of lay that base concepts for you. So you will have assignments that you will also be turning in through your Ames Online or D2L. So you have your discussion posts for those first 4 weeks, and you will have assignments you will be turning in. So like this week, your discussion post is just the introduction post, getting to know each other. And then the assignment you guys will be turning on Saturday is going to be on sampling methods. So how we use different sampling methods in statistics. So that's something you will be working on. And as your subject, or as your population, you have the option of using candy. So you can do M&Ms. If you're not a fan of M&Ms, find something else that you can work with. But the idea is it has to have variety, right? So the reason I chose M&Ms is because you can do different colors, obviously, but you can do different flavors, you can do different fillings and that kind of thing. So you get a good mix of population, and you can get really creative with that. So, you definitely have the option of choosing something if you're, like I said, if you're not a fan of M&M. So that's kind of what the first 4 weeks look like. You have those discussion posts each week, and then you have those assignments you'll be turning in. And then once we get to the second part of this class, which will be the last 4 weeks, that's where we actually start combining 2 chapters together, because we don't have enough material in one chapter. So we start combining. So you will see chapters 5 and 6 are grouped together, 7 and 8, 9 and 10, and then 11, and we actually kind of go back to 4. So you do chapters 1, 2, and 3. We skip 4 for the moment, start with 5, and then at the end we come back with chapter 11 and chapter 4. So since we start grouping chapters towards the end, I do not have any discussion posts or assignments for you because you will be busy enough, with that homework and that kind of thing. So that's kind of how this class breaks down. And the reason I'm telling you this is because, again, if time commitment is going to be an issue, then, I don't want you to, start the class, but it get to a point where you're unable to drop this class and add another one. So if that is something, statistics is a class you need to move forward in your education, then that will be something you really want to think about. Maybe talk to your advisor if you think that might be helpful. So just kind of keep that in mind. It will go a bit fast, and sometimes it can feel overwhelming. I'll definitely be here to help you out. We have tutors available through the Learning Commons area. So if you need help, you can definitely do in-person tutoring, or you can do the same thing like me. Zoom tutoring is also available if you're uncomfortable, going on campus or anything like that. So you do have both online options and in-person options available for tutoring. Like I said, if you want to meet with me one-on-one to ask some questions, get some help, we can definitely schedule some times for that also. So another thing that I kind of wanted to give you guys a heads up on, and I'll probably send a formal email about this also, I do want to give you guys a heads up to let you know that my mother is actually in hospice care. She has been battling cancer for over a year now, and this is actually the third time she was diagnosed with cancer. So we did have to put her in hospice care, and she is not doing very well. So these next few weeks, maybe a month, I'm not sure, can be a bit challenging because she does need a lot of care, and I'm the only caretaker she has. We do have nurses who stop by and see her, but obviously they're not here all day, every day. They're just here for an hour or so. So most of the time I am the one, taking care of her. And so obviously I'll be navigating my work, my classes, everything that I need around her needs. So I will apologize to you guys ahead of time, because there may be times where my response rate might not be as quick as possible. When she's sleeping, that's when usually I'm working. So I kind of have to navigate around that. And if that is another concern that you have, then I would again say, if you want to sign up for another Math 135 section, that's all right with me. Your education and your success has to be the ultimate thing for you. And that's my goal also. But, obviously I still have my mom that I have to take care of. So just kind of please keep in mind that that will be something I'll be kind of working around. So just to kind of let you know. All right, very quickly, I wanted to see if you guys had any questions for me, anything you wanted to ask me before I kind of give you a little bit of overview about our course shell in D2L.
Yes.
Oh, sorry.
No, you're good. You can go.
Oh, okay. I had a question about the exams. Are they in person on campus or online?
Everything is online. So the way this class is designed is there is no need for you to come to campus, even your final exam, other than the in-class version. And the in-class version is technically the Zoom version, because how you meet with me right now is basically how you will be meeting with me on that day for our final exam. And that's just one of those caveats they have placed in there, that they want part of the final exam to be done with the instructor. So we just do it through Zoom. You guys just log in on your computers, get into My Stat Lab and just log in. I'll give you the password and you'll do the exam. But all the other exams, chapter exam, the take-home version of the final exam, you guys do on your own time. Just make sure you're avoiding any distractions and stuff, because the exams are timed. And so I wouldn't want you guys to run out of time. So, whatever you need in terms of notes, calculators, pen, pencil, just keep everything ready with you. So that way you're not kind of like running around trying to find something once you have started the exam, because that timer is going to keep counting down, right? So just make sure you're mindful of that time. But other than that, there's no in-person on-campus meetings or exams.
Okay, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
And I wanted to ask, I didn't really see anything about it. As far as like working ahead, so say like today I just wanted to get like week 1 stuff and week 2 stuff done. Is that possible, or is it like strictly like we're just going to work on week one stuff during week one and nothing else is going to be open?
No, that's not the case. So what's happening is we actually changed our textbook versions from the 5th edition to the 6th edition. So I'm having to go and update all of your homework. So I started with chapter 1, that's been updated. I'm working on chapter 2, and it doesn't really take that long, but I just have to make sure all the homework problems are still there. You know, if something is missing, then I have to find an alternative version for it. So I will have all of your homework assignments in my stat lab available. And then honestly, in D2L, all I need to do is go and change some dates, because yesterday, as I was looking through your course, I was like, man, I didn't change the dates from last semester. So I need to go and change your date. So Caitlin, I will actually go ahead and make the content available. So yes, if you want to work ahead, you know, get some stuff out of the way, you can definitely do that.
Perfect. Okay. And one other question that I had was, how much time per week or like per day would you recommend that we put towards this class?
Ooh, that's a really good question. So the way the class is designed, and you know, this week, because we had Monday off, your deadlines got moved up by a day. So usually your initial discussion posts are due on Tuesdays. The reply to your classmates posts or peer reply posts are due by Thursday. So this week, you know, they're going to be Wednesday and Friday with that extra holiday we had. And then your assignments that you're turning in, like the sampling activity with M&Ms that I was talking about, and then the others for the remaining weeks are going to be due on Saturday. Now, those are the deadlines. You don't have to wait for those deadlines. You can definitely submit stuff earlier. And, you know, some of these you will be turning in as with the discussion posts, especially some of these will be video responses. So you will actually be turning those in through Flipgrid, and you will find those links in your discussion post language. With the assignments, you will be turning them through D2L, so either as Word documents, as Excel. Some of them will also have a video component, so you'll do the video recording on Flipgrid, but then you'll submit your observations and your documents through D2L. So, you know, each week it's going to be different, but I would say in general, we say when it's a 3-hour credit class, like our statistics course is, so that's 3 hours of class time. And for each hour, you basically calculate 2 hours outside of class time. So for our class, that actually becomes 4 hours because, you know, we're condensed down to 8 weeks. So technically, if you're talking about 3 hours multiplied by 4, you know, you're technically talking about 12 hours each week. But I would say some weeks you probably don't need that much time, and some weeks you may need more time. So my advice to you guys would be, take each day and do something. Do at least one section of homework in my stat lab. You know, get that discussion post out of the way. So your initial discussion post is due today, guys, for the getting to know you part. So just make sure that before midnight you get that turned in, because you do lose points if you are late on your discussion post. And then the reply to your peers is due by Friday. So that's another thing. You know, I would say tomorrow is a great day to go back and see who has replied, what posts are there, and you can go ahead and take care of that ahead of time. Now, as far as the M&M sampling activity goes for this, that can take a little bit of planning and maybe even a dry run, because your video length that you will be recording, where you are actually performing the sampling techniques, and you can call it the experiment, you are recording that. So you may have to kind of navigate and see, am I going to record this using my cell phone? You know, am I going to record this using my computer or my laptop? So that might take a little bit of kind of practice. And like I said, do a dry run to make sure you're staying within that time frame. You know, have everything set up already with your cups and plates and, you know, whatever you're using, M&Ms or Skittles or, you know, non-candy item, whatever you want to use. So kind of have all of those things planned ahead of time, because some of these activities do need a little bit of preparation from your end. So this can take some time. Now, chapter 1 of statistics is really going to focus mainly on terminology and concepts. So there's going to be no calculations, no problem solving, you know, because chapter 1 is all about introducing you to that world of statistics. So a lot of terminology, definitions, identifying different things, samples, and, variables and all those kind of things. So chapter 1 actually should not take you very long to complete it. So I would say that's another thing you can go ahead and get done ahead of time. Just get all that homework done, get those quizzes and exams out of the way. And then you can take more time and focus on, maybe getting that sampling activity taken care of. So just different options that you have to consider, as you're going. And like I said, some weeks will be heavier on your time commitment. Some may not be as heavy. So it'll just kind of keep changing, but do something every day is what I would say. Sorry, I know that was a big, long answer.
No, I appreciate it. Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions coming to mind, guys? Alrighty, let me go ahead and share my screen here with you. You know what, let me put this in student mode. So I do go ahead and put announcements, at the beginning of each week to kind of just give you an overview of what's coming, what you're going to be working on. So of course, this week you had a bunch of assignments, you had announcements. So we had just the welcome message just to kind of get you guys started on some of the initial information. So, just getting around the D2L course shell, navigating and looking at different things and what are some of the other things you will be doing. One thing I would definitely recommend is, if you haven't done this in the past for your other classes, is you can actually forward your D2L email to your ames.edu email address. So the D2L is, through this over here, and you'll see you have that little icon over here. So this shows you that you've got an email on D2L. Now, this email is not going to come through on your ames.edu, which is what we access through the Google app, right? The Gmail app. So if you forward them, then, you just have to go to the ames.edu, your Gmail app, and you can get both the emails in the same place. So you don't have to keep going back and forth between the two. So if you want to, forward that, I would say that would definitely save you a lot of time. The other thing I'm asking you guys to do is enroll in the remind.com invitation that I sent you, and I'll just show you what that looks like. So this is, what my end looks like. I think I may be in the wrong class. Yeah, so as you can see, I've got your names showing up over here. So this lets me send you, an announcement, and I don't get to see your phone numbers or anything like that. As you can see, it just shows me my class and all of those who have enrolled in it. Then, it gives me a chance to send you reminders. So I send you reminders through remind.com, and it lets me set up reminders ahead of time. So, some of them I can schedule when I know you've got deadlines for discussion posts or homework or, exams, the different assignments you'll be working on. So it kind of lets me do all of that. And it's very easy, you get it through, I believe, as a text message at your end. And, it's just good to know, oh, okay, I have this coming up today, make sure I get that taken care of. So I would definitely ask you to accept that invitation. And then, the different assignments you have due this week. I have also made an announcement here, just sharing the link for our classroom. So that would be this one here in the blue teal color at the top. And then here's your office hours link. So if you ever wanted to meet me for office hours, that's Mondays and Wednesdays at 5:30 in the evening. And then, of course, our class meetings are every Wednesday at 11:15. And then this one here was specifically for this week. So this was just highlighting, the different assignments, discussion, homework and stuff you have due this week. And I did put a note here that your exams are going to be password protected. So all you need to do is, you can do it now, you can do it later, is just send me a quick email, just requesting your password, and I'll go ahead and send your password out for the chapter 1 exam. And this will definitely be a weekly thing because each exam has its own unique password. So just make sure you're requesting your password ahead of time. Don't wait till Friday or the weekend because, again, I may not be available. And I'd like you to have your passwords before you're ready to take the exam. So don't wait that you have to finish the homework and then you have to take, request a password. You can definitely request your password ahead of time. And I've also put the link to sign up for remind.com through here. If you just go click on that link, it will take you to your, invitation to sign up for this class. So that's kind of how I do the weekly announcements over here. Most of the stuff that you need for this class is going to be right here under content. And, of course, we begin with the course information module over here. So again, you'll see just basic information on what you need to do as you're getting started in this course. Here's another place where you can find that remind.com invitation, instructions on how to forward your D2L email address if you want. These are tips and techniques I've had students share in previous classes. So I've just gone ahead and put those, together here. I think that's a great thing to look at, as you're getting started with this class. You've got some information on just my background over here. Again, your Zoom links for the classroom and the office hours. Course syllabus is in the form of a web page or even a PDF document. If you wanted to download it, you can from here, but they're both the same file. This is just, a web page, and this is a PDF document. I've also included your course schedule over here. So just, nothing detailed, but just a quick overview of what you're working on for each of the weeks. Exam dates is, again, just kind of a repetition, but it just shows you when your exams will be due. Now, formally, I have put your due dates as Sunday, but I actually give you till Monday midnight to finish your MyStatLab assignments. And there are some other links here to help you, resources on campus. And I've actually included some technology resources also on this course information page. So, once we start getting into chapter 3, chapter 4, and all of those other chapters, even chapter 2 for that matter, it's just some training videos and some helpful links here to kind of help you navigate with Microsoft Excel, Google Sheets, whichever program you're more comfortable with. So all of this is under course information. Now, you guys will, of course, be going to MyLab Statistics to actually do your homework, quizzes, and exams, and also the final exam. At the beginning, though, I have included 2 different types of formula sheets. This is a web page which was created by one of my colleagues, Professor Ray Brown. So he's got a formula sheet on his website, and then I've actually done a PDF document from your textbook also. So, all the formulas, the different tables and stuff you have to use throughout this course, all of that is bunched together here in this PDF document. So you can download that if you like. You've got a link to your textbook. So that's the reason why we don't have you guys purchase the physical copy of the textbook. You have access to the e-textbook. But as far as your homework assignments and stuff go, you can either go to Course Home or you can just go directly to All Assignments. And when you click on All Assignments, it will automatically take you to your MyLab Statistics. And you can see I've just done an orientation homework. If you have not used the program before, it's a good thing to see how to type your answers in and how to kind of navigate the program. So that's your orientation homework. And then you can see this is your chapter 1 assignment. So you've got 5 sections of homework. You've got 2 quizzes. And the reason you have 2 quizzes is there were a lot of questions. If I put the 2 quizzes together, like 30 some questions, and instead of making it a big long quiz, I just broke it up into 2 parts. You do get 3 attempts on each quiz, so you can try and get a better grade if you're unhappy with the grade you have. For the chapter exam, there's only 1 attempt. So, of course, you want to make the most of it. Chapter exams are also going to be timed. Quizzes are not timed. And you will see these little green flags next to the quizzes and the exam. That's actually because you have a prerequisite set on these exams. So what this says is you must have 90% on all the homework sections before you can get into the quiz or the chapter exam. And this is going to be true for all of the chapters. So for each homework section, you want to try and get at least a 90% grade. You can go all the way to 100%, but 90 is the minimum requirement. So you will see that for all of your quizzes and exams. So that's under MyLab Statistics. You will also see under MyLab Statistics, there's several different links. If you want to just look at homework, or you just want to look at quizzes and tests, you can go through that. Or I just normally go through all assignments because then I can see the entire list of assignments. StatCrunch is something we'll be using towards the second half of this class. So we're actually not going to get into StatCrunch right now. If you want to see what your individual grade looks like, so this is not for your classmates or anything, this is for you. If you click on this, you will be able to see your own grade. If you wanted to do extra practice but not mess up with your grade, then you go under study plan. And if you go under study plan, you can actually select the chapter and the section you want to practice on. So normally what I do is right here at the top, I go under all chapters. And then, select whichever chapter you want to practice on. So you can see it's broken down by the chapters. Let's say you're working on chapter 1, you wanted to practice something out of section 1.3. So just click on that and you can see you have all these practice problems over here. And this will not affect your grade. Like I said, this is literally just for practice. So you can do that. One other thing I wanted to show you under MyLab Statistics is this multimedia library. So if you click on that, and as it suggests, it's multimedia. So you have different, applets. They kind of show you an animation of, how some of the stuff might work. They're not going to have it for everything. You have your multimedia textbook, you have PowerPoint, you have videos, you have test prep videos. So again, just to show you, we'll again go to chapter 1. Or maybe let's do chapter 3, because that's when we get into a little bit of calculations. And I'm just going to go to section 3.1 for now. Okay, how did that happen? Let's do all sections then maybe. For some reason, it's actually still showing me the 5th edition here. I'm not sure why. Okay, I may have to fix that because it's still showing my 5th edition, and that should be a 6th edition multimedia library. So I will go and see why it's still doing that. And that's probably why they're not showing any media, because we've switched over to the 6th edition, but you should have that available and I will fix it. Then we will get into our weekly assignments. Week 0 was just about orientation. So there's really not much in there. You can look through that. But this is what your weekly modules will look like. So you can see we're in week 1 right now. I've got a list of all the different things we will be working on this week. So the discussion post, the sampling activity, homework, quizzes, and exam for chapter 1. So here, in the interactive session, it just shows you what we'll be talking about, what we'll be working on. This is your Zoom link, actually. If you click on the live weekly session, it takes you to your Zoom link. Now, under each week, I've got reading and viewing assignments. So the reading can lead you to handouts. It can also take you to a link for your textbook page. So you've got your reading assignments, and then under the view is actually where you have videos. So these are videos from YouTube. There's a channel called Crash Course Statistics, and they have really good, like, short introductory videos. So I thought this would be a good way for you to kind of get just a brief idea of just what statistics is and, what to expect. And then as we move into different chapters and different weeks, you will also see videos under that view that I have created. So you also have videos created by me under the view section. It just depends on the chapter that you're working on. And then here you will see you have the link for your weekly discussion and then the assignment you will be working on. So that's kind of how these modules are set up, and they'll be very similar for each week. So just kind of keep that in mind as you're navigating through your course. If you go directly to assignments, You will see the asynchronous activities, and then you will see the assignments for those first 4 weeks. Asynchronous activities is for those days where if you are unable to attend class for some reason, as part of your attendance, you will submit that week's asynchronous activity. So let's say, next week, for some reason, you're unable to attend, go ahead and do the asynchronous activity for week 2, week 3, so it goes for the first 7 weeks. Week 8 is where we take the final exam. So if you don't come to class that day, there's no makeup activity since we will be taking the in-class final. So that's why there's no week 8 activity in here. You can go under discussions to look at, the discussions we have. So this is for week 1. This is what you guys are working on. And then you will see for week 2, week 3, and week 4. But all of these links are also going to be available through content for each of those weeks. So under week 1, you saw you had discussion and the M&M activity, but those are also available under assignments and discussions. Now, when you are submitting your documents, especially for these 4 activities down here, the M&M, US Candy Production, US Presidents, Ages, and Flip a Coin, those are the 4 activities. This is where you will actually need to submit your documents from. So you will come in here, click on that week's activity, and then you will submit your documents through that. So you will see on the bottom, it gives you the option of adding a file if you want to put any comments, and then you can submit it. So that's kind of how you will be submitting your assignments. So just a quick overview on that. Now, as I said, we are working on, the M&M sampling activity and this discussion post. So let's take a look at the M&M sampling activity over here. So just to give you a little bit of background on sampling and, population and samples. So the idea here is, if you wanted to conduct a survey or if you wanted to do a study, and we will just use Ames Community College as our population. So let's say you were interested in, I don't know, how students feel about remote versus in-campus classes, right? Because that's kind of where we are right now with COVID. So if you wanted to conduct a survey like that, well, you cannot really practically go and ask every single Ames student what they feel about, learning remotely or in class. So you have to basically decide, okay, I'm going to choose a sample out of all the Ames students. So the population is everybody who's a student at Ames, but how can I break it down where it's more manageable? Because, doing a survey or any kind of study can be very time consuming. It can be expensive and obviously, takes a lot of work. So you want to minimize that, but you want a good sample where you're not dealing with biases, you're not dealing with, data that's going to be skewed because we didn't choose a good population or good sample from our population. So that's what this activity is going to be about. So whatever bag or, however you choose to purchase your M&Ms, if you do those mini bags, but you do different varieties, so different flavors, peanut M&Ms, caramel, and honestly, I don't even know what else is available out there right now. So whatever you choose as your population. Now, the idea is, how am I going to get a sample? So there's 5 different sampling techniques. There's the random sampling, and random is basically where you have no influence whatsoever. So there's different ways you can do that. You can do that using a random number generator. You can do that using a random table, which has random numbers in it. So the idea is, I would say take a plate or something, empty all your M&Ms into it, give it a good mix. So that way, if you're doing different sizes, different flavors, different colors, they get mixed up really well. And then I would say, go ahead and put them in a grid, so kind of like in a rectangular form. And then you can use a random number generator. So if you do a random number generator and you come up with number 15, well, go, have a starting point. So from there, go ahead and count which is going to be my 15th candy, and that's what you're going to select. Then you click on the random generator thing again, and let's say you get number 21. Well, then once you've picked 15, go and find which candy would be in the 21st position. So, you're kind of setting it up in that format. So that's what we would say random, because you have no choice on what number that random generator is giving you. You can do that using a table also. You will see in your textbook, there's a random number table. So, just basically the idea is you close your eyes and just point your finger at one of the numbers. That's your starting point. So, okay, I'm going to start at this number and then go pick your candy. So that's random. Then your other technique is going to be stratified. You have cluster sampling, you have systematic sampling, and you have convenience sampling. And I think I've listed those here in the description. Yeah, so you can see right here, I've got those sampling techniques. And like I said, convenience is the fifth one, and you can kind of see that right over here. So those are the 5 techniques you are doing. So systematic is where, again, you kind of, again, put your candy in a nice rectangular grid, but systematic is where you have to do a little bit of a calculation based on what your population size is, what you want your sample size to be. And then you actually, based on that calculation, it can come out to be, oh, you're choosing every 7th candy. So once you have your candy lined up in the grid, then you go and pick every 7th candy from that table or from that grid that you have created on your plate. So that's kind of what the systematic is, because you're always picking the 7th candy, or 11th, or whatever that number comes out to be. So that's going to be different for each one of you, because your population size is going to be different and your sample size is going to be different. Then you have stratified. Stratified and cluster kind of start out the same way, because you have to break them down into groups. So with stratified, you can do it as based on color, you can do it based on flavor, based on size. There's many different ways you can do groupings. Sometimes I tell students, how you have the little M printed on the M&Ms, but sometimes they're not perfect. They may not have printed accurately, so you're kind of seeing parts of M. So some of them have a nice whole M, but some don't. So you can kind of break it up into variations of how that M looks like. I've had students do it as, I'm just going to randomly empty my bag, whichever are facing up becomes one group, so the M is visible and then the M facing downward so you don't see it. So, get creative, guys, because this is about you coming up with your ideas, what you think would be creative, what would be different. So do your groupings. I would say at least try to come up with 3 or 4 groups so you get a good mix. And then with stratified sampling, you have to pick a sample from each of those groups. So, whatever you chose your groups to be, then randomly, so you kind of bring random sampling into stratified sampling. So once you've separated your groups from each group, you have to pick a sample that's stratified. The difference with cluster sampling is cluster sampling, you do your groups based on whatever you want to do, but you actually pick an entire cluster. So stratified, you pick from each group, right? So each group gets to share a member or more. With cluster, you actually pick the entire cluster. So, if you separated them by colors, you would literally have to pick all the members in whatever color there is. So you kind of have to get creative, because what's going to happen if you do it by color and you only choose to pick 2 groups, right? 2 clusters. That means, think about it, you've left a big part of your population out, because if you just did red and yellow, then your browns and blues and greens and whatnot get left behind. So is color really the right way to do cluster sampling? So that's kind of what you guys are thinking about as you are performing this experiment, choosing your samples. Convenience, as the name suggests, is the lazy and the easiest way to do it, right? Because you're not going through any formal way. You can literally just put your hand in the bag and pull something out, and that's convenient sampling, right? Because you didn't do anything. You found the easiest way. So that's the convenient sampling. And the idea is, once you pick your sample with each of these 5 techniques, you need to record your data. So if you did it by color or by taste, by flavor, you need to record, I had so many, in this color, or I had so many in this flavor. So that would be then your sample. So that's what you are doing here, is figuring out what is a good sampling technique. And then based on your experiments for each of those 5 techniques, I've got questions for you here that you will be answering. So you can see here are the instructions for how to do your little experiment, and then here are the questions you will be answering. And you will be recording the video of yourself performing the experiment. So that's what you're going to do here in this Flipgrid link. Flipgrid, I've had students have a little bit of a challenge with this in the past, because technically you can record the video on your cell phone, if let's say you're using your cell phone, and then you can upload it on Flipgrid. But I've had students who had trouble doing that. For some reason, Flipgrid would not let them upload a pre-recorded video. So to save yourself that anguish, where you have to end up recording twice, I would say record through Flipgrid directly. Don't do like just a regular video recording on your phone. If your phone is what you're using, you can download the Flipgrid app, and you can get rid of the app once this class ends, but you do have different weeks where we will be using Flipgrid. So it's not just a one and done thing. So you can download the Flipgrid app if that's an option available to you. And then use the recorder through Flipgrid to record your video. So that way you don't have to worry about your video not uploading. If you're using your laptop or your computer camera, then of course just go through that link at Flipgrid and record through that again. And that would be easier than trying to upload a pre-recorded video, because I've had several students tell me last time that it would not let them upload their video. And it was horrible, because they had to go back and re-record through Flipgrid. So I would say just do that to be on the safer side. And then you will also submit either a Word document, and if you don't have Word, you can use Google Docs. And so just go through Word or Google Docs and put your observations, all these questions that you're answering, just put that in a document, just type it all up, and that's what you will be submitting through down here. So that's where you will be submitting your document to me. So I will go and look at your video as you're performing the experiment, and then based on that, I will see what your observations were, and then that's kind of how I grade you for this assignment. So that's kind of what you're looking at for this sampling assignment over here. So just again, any questions coming to mind as we're kind of talking about what you need to do here with this activity? Okay. And then the other thing, as I was saying, we are also working on this week outside of the chapter 1 homework is this discussion post. And this one is just to get us in the habit of working with discussion posts. But of course, since we are an online class mainly, it's good to get to know each other, and you can definitely lean on each other for help also. So this one was just more about introducing the course to you. So you've got some videos here again to help you out, just my contact information, just a little bit about myself, and then just what you guys are going to be doing. So you will actually be doing a Flipgrid recording for the introduction video also. So you will be recording yourself with your introduction, and I've just got some highlighted points over here that you can kind of talk about, what you're sharing about yourself. And then, so that's due today at midnight. And then you can reply to your classmates' post, and you can do 2, that's the minimum requirement. But if you do more than 2, I will give you some additional points if you reply to more than 2 of your classmates. So you can actually reply back in a video comment, or you can just reply back, by putting a comment below their video, kind of like we do with social media, Facebook, Instagram, that kind of thing. So you can put a typed comment, or you can do a video recording as a reply also. So whatever you're comfortable with. But, so this would be a good practice of how to work with discussion posts. But like I said, a good practice, a good way to also get to know each other. So that's the other thing you are working on, and your peer reply are due by Friday. So, make sure you get your initial post in by today. So that's what I was saying. If you go tomorrow, everybody's post should be there. So, start with the ones that don't have any reply. So that way each student at least gets 1 reply to their post. So start with the post that has no reply, introduce yourself to them, talk to them, share whatever you want to, and kind of have that conversation with each other. So that's what you are doing with this discussion post over here. And then, obviously under my lab statistics, you're working on completing chapter 1. So those are the 3 main things you guys are doing: the assignment in my lab statistics, the M&M activity, and the discussion post. So those are the 3 things. And I'll probably send you a reminder this afternoon just to kind of let you guys know, hey, if you still haven't done the initial post for your discussion, go ahead and do that. So again, if you have not signed up for remind.com, please go ahead and do that. I believe you also have the option of signing up as an email. So if you think your smartphone's not reliable, or that's not an option available to you, you can also sign up with remind.com to receive an email. So instead of getting a text message, you can also get it on your email if you check your email often. So you can do that also. But I really find that site to be very, very helpful, because it's just a quick message. I can send a reminder and saying, hey, don't forget about this assignment. And just to show you, if it will let me. So this is kind of what I was talking about. You do have option to Google Docs through drive.google.com, or you also have option to Google Sheets. So that kind of works like Excel. So if your computer does not have the Microsoft Office program on it, if it doesn't have the Microsoft Word, Microsoft Excel, you can actually use Google Docs and Google Sheets because that is available to you as AIM students for free. So just kind of keep that in mind. And some of the, as we kind of get deeper into this course, some of the assignments that we'll be working on, I will actually show you how to use some of those built-in functions that Excel or Google Sheets has. So if you have not worked with those programs extensively, there is a list under your resources for all the different functions that are available, but I will show you some techniques of how to use Google Sheets or Excel, so to kind of help you out. But if you have a working knowledge of the software, then it really makes your life a lot easier, because then you're not having to learn the program. But if you haven't used these, you'll definitely get a good training with this class. Because again, think about this: when you are practically working in the field, you're not really doing a lot of calculations by hand, right? You're either using formulas that are already created in calculators, or different programs that are already pre-designed. So that's kind of the idea behind using StatCrunch or Google Sheets or Microsoft Excel, because you use these programs to do a lot of your calculations, and we don't really do them by hand. Some of those we'll do by hand, but for most part we'll be using technology, because that's what we would be doing if we were practically doing this, through our work or something. But don't hesitate, guys. Anytime you have any questions, you have anything that's not working out for you, always keep me in the loop, because if I know what's going on with you, then it makes it easy for me to work around it, or maybe find options for you, or try ways to help you out, because I know sometimes life can be challenging. And obviously, as you can see, I'm going through something that's challenging for me. So we will try to help each other out, but let me know, because if you don't let me know, then it's hard for me to kind of help you out and move forward from there. So just even if you shoot me a quick email letting me know what's going on with you, it at least gives me a little bit of an idea. Oh, okay, this is what you're going through and why you need help, or whatever the situation may be. Another thing I do want to remind you guys, because I'm seeing a lot of foreheads and not a lot of faces here, I do need to be able to see your faces. So just make sure when you are keeping your cameras on yourself, it should not be facing a ceiling or a wall or a window. You know, it should be on you, on your face, because I do keep your, even when I'm sharing my screen, I keep the little window with the cameras open. So because I kind of look at your faces, because I need to see, you know, what I'm talking about is making sense or not, or if you're looking lost. And if I can't see you, then it's kind of hard for me to gauge that. And, you know, of course, just being in the remote setting, it just creates its own little challenge, because, you know, in class, you can just raise your hand and I can see, but here I kind of have to look at my screen all the time and see, is somebody saying anything? Is there something coming through chat? So, you know, keeping your cameras on will definitely help me a lot, because at least I can kind of see, you know, are you nodding? Are you looking lost? You know, just what's going on. So it helps me out a lot. So that's kind of what we are working on for this 1 week. And I really hope that this will be a good week to kind of get used to the course, to look through just the different things that are coming up, you know, get a little familiar. And if you have any questions, you get stuck on anything, please don't hesitate. Let me know how I can help you out, and we'll work together on making sure that you have a good experience with this class and you are successful in this course, which is our main goal, is to get you through this class so you can move forward to whatever may be coming next. So the first thing I'm excited about is to read your introductions, just to see what you have to share about yourself. So please make sure, if you haven't done that, take care of that sometime before midnight tonight. You know, as much as you can share about yourself, whatever you're comfortable with, it would be really great. And I really look forward to seeing your responses to that. So any other questions coming to mind at this point, guys?
Yeah, I just have a quick question and I might have just missed it. So the meetings that we have once a week on Zoom, is that like, are you going to be teaching anything? Can I bring questions? Like if I have any questions throughout the week, or how does
Yes,
that?
you can, but for each week, I do have activities planned for us, because, and you know, they kind of tie into, it can be where we may do part of the assignments that you guys turn in on Saturdays. So especially with the flip a coin and US presidents' ages and those ones, we do actually do part of those experiments in class. And then as we get beyond those activities for the remaining weeks, sometimes I may have activities for us to do in class, and I might put you guys into groups and you work together. Some of them I will actually work through homework problems with you, because some of them are actually pretty complex problems. And you know, if you've not done that before, if you've not had a statistics class before, then sometimes it's kind of hard to understand what those instructions are. So for some of those later chapters, I will actually walk you through some homework problems. But yes, you can always bring questions to me. If I don't have time during class, and if you have time to stay back and ask me those, I will answer those for you, because I'm in no rush to leave after our class ends. I usually have half an hour after class that I keep, you know, for questions and stuff like that, so I can stay back and answer those. And you know, if we get through with the activity pretty quickly, then we can definitely take the remaining part of the class and answer questions. So definitely come prepared to ask me questions. If I'm unable to answer them during class, I can always send you back an email reply. And if I feel if it's a question that will benefit everybody in class, and I might just make a post about it for everyone and share it on D2L, so that way everyone has access to it.
Cool, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Any other questions coming to mind, guys? So just to remind you, I do have office hours today from 5:30 to 6. I know it's kind of later in the evening. So if you guys have any questions, you can pop in for the 5:30 to 6 office hours on Monday. Wednesdays, appointments are not necessary. Just use that office hour link and you can come in through that. And if that time doesn't work for you and you need to see me at a different time, then just email me and we'll schedule something for a one-on-one meeting. Okay. All righty. Well, that's all I have for today, guys. So good luck with your discussion post and the M&M activity. Again, I will say this one last time, email me if you have any questions. And if not, then I'm looking forward to seeing you guys next Wednesday at 11:15. So have a wonderful day, guys. Be safe, take care of yourself, and I'll see you in a week. Take care.
Bye.
everybody.
Have a good one.
Thank you. Bye, guys. Be careful.
I do have a quick question here, real quick for you.
Yeah.
So I might have missed it because unfortunately I'm actually at work right here or right now because I work my Wednesdays. I either do 7:30 to 2 or 1:30 to 4 or 1:30 to 8. I'm sorry. So is the meetings once a week required, or are they going to be just recorded that I can go back and rewatch them?
So I will record every week's meeting. So that way, if anybody misses or if they want to go back and look through something we talked about, they can do that. But the other requirement would be if you're unable to attend, then you definitely want to submit the asynchronous activity for that week.
Okay, sounds good. So like on my every other weeks when I'll be obviously at work during that time, I can just do the alternate one because I caught pieces of the video and stuff today. So
Okay, yeah, that would be fine. Not a problem, Brandy.
okay, perfect. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Take care.
Thanks. Bye.
Hey guys, any other questions?
Yes, okay, so first off, for discussions, how many replies do you want us to do, or do you have like a requirement, or how long you want us to make them, or anything like that?
So not really so much on length. I would say, of course, if you're typing it in, make sure it's in full sentences, not just one word responses, at least somewhere where you're kind of interacting with your classmates. The minimum requirement is 2 replies, so at least to 2 of your classmates, but you can do more if you want to earn some extra points.
Sorry,
That's okay.
for the lessons on the, I forgot what it was called, My Lab, I think. That's just for the first like chapters, and it'll like automatically update after the last like exam we have, right?
Yeah, so I will go ahead and open up the other chapters. Right now, I just opened up chapter 1 so that you guys would have something to
Okay.
start working on. But yeah, I'll go ahead and open the rest of them.
Okay.
And as I think Caitlin was asking, you can definitely work ahead. If you have extra time a week and you want to go ahead and work ahead, you can definitely do that also.
Okay, and sorry, one more. For the M&M's out like thing, it just has to be like 3 different things technically, right? So like we take, like let's say you take M&M's, Reese's, and like coins or something, mix them together, put them in a grid, or however you want to choose from them, and then
I mean, you can do it that way, which I think is a great idea. Or if you just want to do one thing, like just one M&M's or Reese's or whatever, you can do that also. Because the idea is if you have a good mix, then in your population, then you can kind of do a good mix in your sampling. So just what is a good sampling method is what you're kind of trying to do with this experiment. So if you wanted to mix a couple different candies, you can definitely do that also.
okay, so the 3 different groups of things doesn't necessarily have to be 3 different groups. It's just like this is the population size of what we're using.
Yeah.
So what do you, sorry, there, when you were saying like differentiating 3 groups, what does that have to do with the end experiment? Like for an example, you have the 3 different groups of whatever it is. There's some, let's say there's also M&Ms, just whatever. And then you use like random sampling or the grid thing or any of the other methods. What does the 3 groups change? Like, is it just I have to choose a different
It's just a
method for each
different
one,
sampling
or-
technique because, it's just a different way of selecting your sample. So stratified and cluster is where you break it up into groups. So you can do 3 groups, you can do 5 groups, the grouping is up to you because you will decide how you want to separate them, right?
Okay.
So if you talk about people, the easiest is we break them up into males and females, right? But we could also break it up by age group, right? We could do it by income level. So the grouping kind of depends on, what you are doing and what you want to do. So the grouping, I will leave it up to you. You can do 3 groups, you can do 5 groups, because whatever your population ends up being, you will have to decide based on that. And then the idea is once you separate them into groups, how do you select your sample from each of the groups? Because, then you're getting a good mix. If it's
Yeah.
cluster is where you pick the entire group. So cluster is where, if I separated all the reds and the blues and the greens, then I'm picking that whole entire red. But if I was doing stratified is where I would actually take samples from each of the colors, right? So that's the difference. So there's just different sampling techniques, and you're trying to just see out of all those 5 ones, which is giving you a good population representation in your sample. So that's kind of what you're doing with those groupings.
So, sorry, I apologize for asking so many questions.
Oh,
Oh, and
it's
the
okay.
last one, I swear. So ultimately, with all of that and us using all the different types, are we recording all 5 different types of
Yes.
okay, thank you.
Yeah, because the idea is we want to see which of those techniques gave you a good representation. So if we just talk about M&Ms, you can see how we have so many different colors, right? So did you get all the colors in your sample size, or did something get left out? Because, especially if you're doing something where you have no control on it, does it still give you a good representation?
Mhm.
Or something got left out? If you do different flavors of M&Ms, well, did each of the flavors at least make it into your sample, or something got left out? So that's kind of what you're doing with these experiments, is to see, did everybody get to be a part of it, or did somebody get left out?
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and Skylar, if anything else comes up, don't hesitate to reach out for extra help.
Okay, I
Because
apologize. I
once you
don't.
start working on the experiment, you may see, oh, this is not making sense to me. So just reach out to me and ask for help.
Okay. Also, sorry. Communicating you through the Remind app, or through that, would that be easier than email?
The only thing is, sometimes the remind.com doesn't send me notice
Mhm.
that I have a message. So it can actually be days before I realize I have a message
Okay.
there. But because, I have the email app on my phone, I can get those emails a lot quickly. So I think it's safer to do the email. I mean, you can do both, but I would say email would be the safer option.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Bye. Have a
Bye.
good rest of your day.
You too. Take care. See ya. Hey, Dallas. Oh, you're on mute. There you go.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
So how many variables do we need to have? Are they all different variables with the different techniques, or what?
So in this one, you wouldn't have as many variables, because, we're just doing with the M&Ms, again, just using M&Ms as our example over here. So it's really not going to be so much about variables, but as about how you treat them as separate entities. So, if the easiest is definitely by color, but you can also do it by shape, right? Because some of them may have a little extra chocolate coating on them, so they kind of look deformed, but some of them have a perfect shape. I was talking about the printing of the M on each candy. So it's really actually about how you define your population and how you separate them. If you go with different flavors of candy, then each member represents the flavor, but also the color. So it's really going to depend on how you want to break it down. So it's actually not so much about variables, but just about how you are defining your population. So as Skylar was talking about, are you going to be mixing maybe 2 different candies, so Skittles and M&Ms together? Then you kind of have more variation in that way. And as I was telling her, the idea is you want a good representation of your population. So but you don't want to force it, right? You want to let it happen naturally. If something gets left out, well, that was the sampling technique. So there should be no personal influence in choosing of your samples. You want to go through the process as it's described in the definitions and in your textbook, and then just hope that you are getting a good representation of whatever your population looked like.
So the more diversity, the better, is what
That's
basically.
kind of the idea. Yeah, because if you were doing this as an actual study out in the field, did we want to get, and we'll just take Colorado as an example, did we want to get the urban and the rural areas? Did we want to get the communities in the mountains and the Front Range? So, the idea would be, how do we get a good mix of people so each area is represented, but we're not having to go and talk to 2,000, 3,000 people, because that would be not practical.
So so you want to get a different demographic, kind of a different sample from each demographic.
There you go. Yeah.
Okay.
And M&Ms just happens to be the easier way to kind of get to that point.
Okay.
And
All
as I
right,
was telling earlier, if once you start doing the experiment and some questions come up, don't hesitate to reach out to me.
Okay, for sure. And then email, right? Correct?
Yes, please.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Yeah, you're most welcome. Take care, Dallas, and good luck.
Thank you.
Bye.